Okay, so what is your full name?
My full name is Michael Charles Blake.
Right. Where are you from?
I was originally born in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, and I've been all over the country, from Massachusetts to North Carolina to Colorado Springs, Colorado, and now in Michigan.
Cool. Alright. How old were you on September 11th, 2001?
I was about 50 years old.
Alright. So, what do you recall about life before 9/11, such as security at airports or other locations?
Good question. From what I remember, security was, compared to today, it was a lot looser, was a lot easier. While they had certain X-ray machines, they weren't as advanced. Anybody could go through. You didn't have to show a ticket. You didn't have to show your ID. You were able to walk through, and people who were dropping you off could actually walk with you to the plane and wave to you as you're getting on the plane.
Did you ever visit any of the locations of the 9/11 attack, and what do you remember about it if you did?
No, I've never had the opportunity to visit those locations.
So, on the day of the event, how did you find out about the attacks? Where were you and what were you doing at the time?
I was actually in Colorado Springs at the time, Colorado Springs, Colorado. I was working with a telecommunications company, and there was also, that's the home of NORAD, and it's also the home of a major Air Force base there. So I started hearing about the information. It was around, say around 8:30 or so. It was on a radio, and really caught my attention. And my initial thought was, this was a incident. It was a very unfortunate incident of a plane just hitting one of the Twin Towers.
Were you with other people when you heard about the attack? What do you remember about sharing that moment?
To be honest, I don't remember at that one moment when I was there what was the circumstances around me. I do remember that as the events unfolded, it was a shock and disbelief among many people.
Were you afraid for your safety or the safety of your family?
Since most of the events were happening on the East Coast and we were in Colorado Springs, Colorado, the fear of myself or my family being injured wasn't as high. Well, we were close to NORAD. NORAD is very, very heavily defended, always at high alert, and same thing with the Air Force base. So believe that we were not in any imminent danger.
Were you personally connected to anyone in the attacks, such as the towers, the Pentagon, or the planes?
The Pentagon was probably the closest. I was working with a telecommunications company at the time. Some of the people I was working with knew people that worked out of the Pentagon to provide some of the telecommunications. So by maybe the second or the third person type, we knew people, but did not believe that anybody that they knew where was actually hurt. Just they were scared, and they left immediately.
What do you think of the government's reaction to the attacks in the days and months after the attack?
Thinking back, I think the immediate reaction was prudent. We America did not know what was happening, so one of the first things they started doing was shutting down airports. getting all planes landed, especially after the third one. After the third one hit the Pentagon, they started shutting down airports, diverting flights, forcing all planes to land at the closest airport so they could get a good picture of, are there any other attacks. And I think that they also expanded that to not only the planes, but they also expanded that to start shutting down subways and things like anywhere where there's going to be a lot of people. They started taking those types of prudent actions to control, start trying to get some control of the situation. The months after, I don't remember anything, it was slow coming back to get the planes. I mean, they grounded the planes for many, many days. And then very slowly, after implementing other security procedures, started allowing planes to take off again. But I think it was really years after that they really put in a lot of the stringent security measures that we see today.
Do you think that terrorism can be defeated? Why or why not?
I don't think terrorism will ever be defeated. If you think of it throughout the ages, terrorism has been there for thousands of years. It's just a different form. Political, religious, terrorism has been there forever, and it's going to continue, is my belief. A lot of it can be controlled. We can contain a lot of it, but they'll always, just like we find new ways of doing things, they find new ways of doing things.
What lessons should be learned from 9/11?
I believe in some cases, America got a little complacent. I think that we as Americans are sometimes too self-confident. I believe that we believe that nobody can touch us, and that's not true. 9/11 proved that. I think we need to be ever vigilant. We need to make sure that we're always on our guard. Before 9/11, we always thought as long as we could go fight wars elsewhere, that we would win. We found out by 9/11 that they can bring the war to us, and that's where we've had to beef up and turn a lot of our efforts on. But,
all right, thank you.
thank you very much for having me.